Every person lives inside a circle. Some circles are invisible, built from habits, fears, and voices that whisper, "Stay where you are." Others are visible, shaped by the people around us, their doubts, their limits, their choices. Most people never question these circles. They walk the same paths, repeat the same patterns, and inherit the same struggles, never realizing they have the power to step out. But you are not most people. You are here because you feel it, the pull of something greater, the weight of potential that refuses to be silent. You are not here to repeat history. You're here to rewrite it. You are not here to live within lines drawn by others. You are here to redraw the map of your life. This book is your wake-up call. Not to improve the circle you're in, but to catch it, break it, and replace it with one that pushes you higher. Because the life you deserve does not exist inside limits. It exists beyond them. The question is simple. Are you ready to step out of the circle and claim it? Chapter 1. The Invisible Circle. There are boundaries in life that we cannot see with our eyes, but we can feel them holding us back every time we try to move forward. It is like walking in an open field, yet somehow being trapped by a wall made of fear, doubt, and hesitation. This invisible circle is what most people live in without realizing it. They go to work, talk to friends, scroll through their phones, make plans for the future, but deep inside, they know they are not truly free. Something keeps them from reaching higher, from chasing the life they secretly dream about, and from becoming the person they are capable of being. This circle is not made of steel or concrete. It is made of beliefs, patterns, and invisible chains that quietly whisper, "You cannot do this. You are not ready. You will fail." From childhood, we are taught to stay inside certain lines. Teachers tell us what is possible. Society tells us what is acceptable. And even family members sometimes remind us not to dream too big because disappointment might hurt. Over time, these voices start building an invisible fence around us. You might not notice it when you're young, but as you grow older, you realize that your choices are limited not by reality, but by the circle you have accepted as your truth. Imagine a bird kept in a cage for years. Even if the cage door is left open, the bird may not fly out because it has been conditioned to believe freedom is impossible. Many people live the same way, with the cage door wide open, yet wings folded tightly against their body. This invisible circle has many forms. For some, it is fear of failure. They want to start a business, write a book, or move to a new country, but the thought of losing what they already have keeps them stuck. For others, it is the fear of judgment. They worry about what friends, colleagues, or society will say if they step outside the usual path. Some are trapped by the weight of their past mistakes, believing they are unworthy of success, while others are held back by comfort zones that feel safe but silently kill ambition. No matter what the form, the result is the same. Life feels smaller than it could be. Dreams remain distant, and the soul feels restless. When you look at the world, the people who inspire us most are not the ones who had perfect conditions. They are the ones who saw the invisible circle and decided to break it. A young man working long hours in a small shop can still study at night and create opportunities that lead him out of poverty. A woman told she is not capable can still start a movement that changes her community. A student who once failed in school can still rise to become an innovator. What separates them from the rest is not luck, but courage. The courage to step beyond what others call normal and to test the strength of the walls surrounding them. More often than not, when you push against these walls, you realize they were never made of stone. They were illusions waiting to be shattered. But breaking free does not begin with action alone. It begins with awareness. You cannot escape a prison you do not see. Many people defend their limitations without knowing it. They say, "This is just who I am," or "People like me never make it that far," or "I don't have the time, money, or support." These statements may feel real, but they are often stories created by the invisible circle. The first step to freedom is to recognize that these stories are not truth. They are choices. Every time you say, "I can't," you are choosing to stay inside the circle. Every time you say, "maybe later," you are drawing the walls tighter around you. But the moment you say, "why not me?" or "I will find a way," you begin to push open the space around you. Think about the times in your life when you surprised yourself. Perhaps you thought you could not pass that exam, but you did. Perhaps you believed you would never get that job, but you did. Perhaps you were sure you could not handle that challenge, but somehow you did. Those moments are proof that the circle is not real. It is only as strong as you allow it to be. The mind builds fences, but the spirit was never meant to live inside them. When you remember your victories, no matter how small, you remind yourself that the limits you once believed in were nothing more than shadows. Still, awareness is not enough. The invisible circle feeds on comfort, and comfort is seductive. It feels easier to stay in the job you dislike than to risk starting something new. It feels safer to remain silent about your dreams than to face criticism. It feels less painful to settle for ordinary than to risk rejection in the pursuit of extraordinary. But every time you choose comfort over growth, the circle grows tighter. Life is not meant to be lived in hesitation. The fire within you demands space, air, and movement. If you ignore it, frustration will grow, and you will wonder why life feels so heavy. The truth is simple. Your soul knows you are capable of more, but the circle keeps you pretending that more does not exist. The way forward requires boldness, not recklessness, but boldness. Boldness is the decision to test the limits, to step where others fear to step, to say yes when everything in you wants to say no. Boldness is what cracks the invisible circle. It does not mean you will never feel fear. It means you move forward despite the fear. Every successful person you admire has walked through fear. They were not superhuman. They just refused to let the circle decide their destiny. They saw doubt, rejection, and failure as temporary visitors, not permanent guards. And because of that, they found freedom. You might be thinking, what if I try and fail? But ask yourself a bigger question. What if I never try at all? Failure is an event. Regret is a lifetime sentence. The pain of failure fades, but the pain of staying stuck lingers forever. The circle whispers that it is safer not to try, but safety is a disguise. The only real safety in life is growth, because growth gives you the strength to face whatever comes next. When you grow, you become adaptable, resilient, and unstoppable. Staying inside the circle does not protect you, it only limits you. If you want to know whether you're inside the circle right now, look at your life and ask, am I living by design or by default? Do I wake up excited or just surviving another day? Do I make choices based on what I truly want or on what others expect? If the answer feels uncomfortable, that's the voice of truth trying to wake you up. Do not silence it. Do not dismiss it. That discomfort is the first crack in the invisible wall. Once you feel it, you cannot ignore it for long. It will push you toward change until you finally act. Freedom begins with a single step, not a perfect plan, not a guarantee, just a step. Write the first page of that book, even if no one reads it yet. Send the application, even if you fear rejection. Speak the idea, even if people laugh. Make the move, even if your voice shakes. Each step outside the circle weakens it. With every small act of courage, the walls lose power, until one day you look around and realize there is no circle anymore. Just open space, waiting for you to build the life you deserve. Remember, the circle is not your destiny. It is only a habit of thought, and habits can change. You were born with a mind that can learn, a heart that can dream, and a spirit that can rise. No invisible barrier is stronger than your decision to be free. If you are willing to see the circle, to challenge it, and to step beyond it, you will discover that life has always been bigger, brighter, and more beautiful than you imagined. The choice is yours. Remain inside or break free and fly. Chapter 2. Breaking the Chains of Limitation. There was once a young man named Daniel who lived in a small town surrounded by mountains. Every morning he would wake up to the same view, the peaks rising tall, covered with snow, standing proudly against the sky. People admired the mountains, but Daniel feared them. To him, the mountains represented limits, something too high to climb, too strong to move, too impossible to conquer. His father worked long hours in a factory, his mother managed a small store, and everyone around him repeated the same advice: stay safe, work hard, and do not ask for too much from life. For years, Daniel accepted these invisible instructions. He studied, got a simple job, paid his bills, and convinced himself that this was enough. But deep inside, a restlessness grew like fire inside dry wood. He wanted more, though he did not know what more meant. One day, Daniel overheard a group of travelers passing through town. They were talking about climbing one of the mountains. Their eyes shone with excitement as they described the journey, the freezing winds, the endless climb, the exhaustion that tested every muscle, but also the breathtaking view waiting at the top. Daniel listened in silence, a storm raging in his chest. He could not stop thinking about their words. That night, as he lay awake, he realized something powerful. The mountain outside was no different from the mountain inside him. It was not the snow or the steep cliffs that scared him. It was the belief that he could never reach the top. His real prison was not nature, but limitation. The next morning, Daniel made a decision that shocked even himself. He would climb the mountain. He had no training, no expensive gear, and no guide. When he told his parents, they laughed nervously. His friends shook their heads and told him he was foolish. "You will fail," they said. "People like us don't do things like that." Their voices were heavy chains trying to pull him back into the ordinary. But for the first time, Daniel refused to listen. His heart had tasted possibility, and he was not willing to spit it out. He packed a small bag with bread, water, and an old jacket, and with shaky steps, he began his climb. At first, the path was easy. Trees lined the trail, birds sang, and the air was fresh. Daniel felt alive. But as he climbed higher, the ground grew steeper. Rocks replaced grass, and cold winds cut his skin. His legs trembled, his chest ached, and doubt returned like a cruel friend. "You cannot do this," whispered his mind. "Turn back before you get hurt." He sat on a rock, breathing heavily, staring at the town below. From up there, his entire life looked small. The same houses, the same roads, the same routines. He asked himself, "Do I want to go back to that forever? Or do I want to know what lies ahead?" With trembling determination, he stood up and kept moving. Every step Daniel took was a war against limitation. His body screamed for rest, his fear begged him to surrender, but his spirit pushed forward. He fell more than once, cut his hands on sharp stones, and lost his food to a sudden gust of wind. Yet each time he fell, he rose again. The mountain tested him, but he realized the real battle was not against the rocks or the cold. It was against the voice inside that told him to stop. The chains of limitation were not physical, they were mental. Every time he chose to move forward, a link of the chain snapped. Hours turned into days, and Daniel reached a point where even breathing felt like lifting a weight. Clouds surrounded him, and the peak still seemed far away. But something had changed in him. He no longer feared failure. He understood that even if he never reached the summit, he had already broken free from the prison of his old life. He had already proven to himself that he was capable of more than he was told. That realization gave him strength, and with that strength, he pushed through the final climb. When he finally stood at the top, the world stretched before him in endless beauty. The town looked like a dot in the valley below, and the horizon promised infinite possibilities. Tears filled his eyes as he whispered, "I was never meant to stay small." The story of Daniel is really the story of all of us. We are all climbers facing our own mountains. Some will stay in the valley forever, watching the peaks from a distance, telling themselves it is impossible. But a few, those who dare, will begin the climb. And when they reach the top, they will discover not just a breathtaking view, but a breathtaking truth. The limits were never real. They were only chains, and chains were made to be broken. Chapter 3. Redefining Your Circle. The truth is simple. Your circle decides your direction. The people you spend your time with are not just companions, they are mirrors, voices, and sometimes even anchors tied to your feet. If you surround yourself with doubt, you will inherit doubt. If you surround yourself with vision, you will inherit vision. Nothing shapes destiny faster than the company you keep. Every great life is built in the presence of the right circle. Look closely at the most successful individuals, athletes, leaders, creators, innovators. Behind each of them stands a circle that pushes, challenges, and refuses to let them stay small. The human spirit is influenced, whether you admit it or not. If you walk with those who crawl, you will forget how to run. If you walk with those who fly, one day you will spread your wings. You cannot choose the family you were born into, but you can choose the family you grow with. You cannot control every voice around you, but you can decide which voices you allow inside your heart. Redefining your circle is not about arrogance, it is about survival. It is about protecting the vision you are building and refusing to let it die in the noise of mediocrity. Some circles keep you stuck because they only know how to survive, not how to grow. They speak about weekends, gossip, and problems, but never about dreams, strategies, or progress. If you remain in that environment, you will shrink to fit it. You will learn to laugh at small jokes while your big potential remains hidden. This is why redefining your circle is not optional. It is essential. The circle you keep will either strengthen your courage or multiply your fear. Spend time with complainers and you will start complaining. Spend time with dreamers and you will start dreaming. Spend time with doers and you will start doing. Humans adapt to their environment. That is a fact. So choose an environment worth adapting to. Redefining your circle is not betrayal. It is alignment. You are not abandoning people. You are embracing growth. You are not rejecting your past. You are protecting your future. Sometimes the hardest decision is to step back from familiar faces who do not share your vision. But remember, loyalty to stagnation is not loyalty. It is self-destruction. If you want to fly, walk with those who are already in the air. If you want to grow, walk with those who are constantly learning. If you want to build wealth, sit at the table with those who understand creation, not just consumption. If you want peace, seek those who radiate calmness, not those who thrive on chaos. Your circle is your teacher, whether you realize it or not. There will always be people who laugh at your ambition, not because your dream is impossible, but because it reminds them of the dreams they abandoned. Their laughter is a defense mechanism, not a truth. Do not let their broken courage become your ceiling. Redefine your circle so that your dream is not mocked but magnified. A new circle does not always come easily. You might have to walk alone for a season. Loneliness will feel heavy, but it is lighter than the weight of staying with the wrong people. Growth requires space, and sometimes you must step into silence before you can find the voices that lift you. Do not fear the quiet. The right circle will come when you are brave enough to release the wrong one. When you do find that circle, protect it like treasure. Celebrate their victories as if they were your own. Encourage them when they are weak. Push them when they hesitate, and let them do the same for you. A true circle is not built on envy, but on empowerment. It is a bond where iron sharpens iron, where vision fuels vision, and where no one is allowed to quit on themselves. Redefining your circle requires courage, because it often means admitting the truth. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your future. Some were only meant for a chapter of your story, not the whole book. That does not make them bad people. It simply means their path ends where yours continues. Do not chain yourself to relationships that cannot survive growth. Release with gratitude, move forward with strength. The circle you choose is not just about friendship, it is about energy. Every conversation either drains you or charges you. Every interaction either pushes you forward or pulls you back. Ask yourself after spending time with someone, do I feel stronger or do I feel smaller? That question alone will reveal whether they belong in your circle or not. You cannot build a life of freedom with people who are content with chains. You cannot build an empire with people who only know how to survive. You cannot create a masterpiece with those who only criticize the canvas. Redefining your circle is an act of self-respect. It says, I am serious about my destiny, and I will not let it be shaped by the wrong hands. And when the right circle surrounds you, everything changes. You begin to think differently, act differently, and believe differently. They will not let you settle for excuses. They will not let you forget your vision. They will push you when you hesitate and celebrate you when you win. Together, you rise higher than you ever could alone. So stand today and ask, who is in my circle? Who is shaping my destiny right now? Who do I need to release, and who do I need to seek? The answers will not always be comfortable, but they will always be clear. And when you act on them, you will unlock a power greater than motivation. You will unlock momentum. Your circle is not just a group of people. Your circle is your future in disguise. Redefine it wisely. Redefine it bravely. Redefine it now. Chapter 4. The Courage to Step Outside. Let's be honest for a moment. The reason most people stay stuck is not because they don't know what to do. Deep down, you already know the steps you could take. You know the job you could apply for. You know the skills you should learn. You know the toxic people you should walk away from. You know the dream you keep postponing. The real problem is not knowledge, it is courage. It is the gap between knowing and doing. And inside that gap lives fear. I want you to imagine this with me. You're standing in front of a door. Behind that door is everything you have ever wanted. Freedom, success, love, opportunities, fulfillment. But the door is guarded by a shadow called fear. Fear tells you that if you try to open it, you might fail. Fear tells you that you're not good enough, that people will laugh, that you'll lose everything. So you stand there, staring at the door, day after day. Sometimes you reach out, but then you pull back. You convince yourself that maybe later will be safer, easier, better. But later never comes. The truth is simple. The key to that door is courage, and until you use it, you will remain on the outside looking in. Courage is not the absence of fear. That's a lie people often believe. Courage is moving forward despite fear. Courage is saying, yes, I feel afraid, but I will not let fear decide my future. Every person who's ever achieved something remarkable has felt fear. The difference is they didn't bow to it. They walked with shaky hands, with trembling voices, sometimes even with tears in their eyes, but they walked anyway. And because they walked, their world expanded. Let me ask you this. How many times in your life have you missed opportunities because you hesitated? How many times did you stay quiet when you had something powerful to say? How many times did you watch someone else take the chance you wanted because you were too afraid to try? Those moments don't disappear. They stay with you like heavy stones in your pocket, and over time, regret weighs more than fear ever could. Fear hurts for a moment. Regret hurts forever. Now, think of the times you did find courage. Maybe it was when you spoke up in a room where you felt invisible. Maybe it was when you said yes to something new, even though you weren't sure you were ready. Maybe it was when you left a job, ended a relationship, or took a leap of faith. Remember how alive you felt afterward? Remember how proud you were of yourself? That is the magic of courage. It expands your life instantly. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. And suddenly, you realize the limits you believed in were never real. Here's the truth I want you to remember. Your comfort zone is not your friend. It pretends to keep you safe, but in reality, it keeps you small. Comfort zones are like warm blankets. You feel cozy for a while, but stay under them too long and you will suffocate. Growth only happens when you step outside, when you risk discomfort, when you choose action over excuses. Every great story begins at the edge of comfort. The moment you step outside, you step into possibility. I know what you're thinking, but what if I fail? Let me flip that question. What if you don't? What if you succeed beyond your imagination? What if the step you're afraid to take is the step that changes everything? What if the risk opens doors you never knew existed? Fear always exaggerates the cost of failure, but hides the cost of doing nothing. And the cost of doing nothing is enormous. It is the life you could have lived, but never did. Let me share something important. Courage grows like a muscle. The first time you act bravely, it feels terrifying. But the more you do it, the stronger you get. One small step leads to another. Soon, what once terrified you becomes easy, and you find yourself capable of things you never dreamed of. This is why you cannot wait until you feel ready. You will never feel completely ready. Readiness is a myth. Courage is the truth. You become ready by stepping out, not by waiting. Maybe you're sitting here thinking, that sounds good, but my fear is too strong. Let me tell you something. Your fear will never leave. Stop waiting for it to vanish. Stop waiting to wake up fearless one day. That day is not coming. Courage is choosing to act while fear sits beside you. Picture it this way. Fear can ride in the car with you, but you never let it drive. There is a voice inside you that knows you were made for more. It whispers when you're alone. It speaks in moments of silence. Sometimes you hear it in your heart, sometimes in your gut. That voice is your true self calling you to step outside. But every time you ignore it, fear gets louder. Every time you listen to it, courage grows stronger. The decision is yours. Which voice will you obey? Think of every hero you admire, every leader, every innovator, every dreamer who changed the world. None of them were fearless. They simply decided that their vision was worth more than their fear. They chose action. They chose courage. And because of that, they discovered what was waiting outside their circle. So here is my challenge to you. Do one bold thing this week. Not tomorrow, not someday, this week. Make the call you've been avoiding. Apply for the opportunity you've been doubting. Share the idea you've been hiding. Take the step you've been postponing. Do it not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Do it because your life is too valuable to be wasted in hesitation. When you step outside, you won't always succeed instantly. Sometimes you will stumble. Sometimes you will face rejection. Sometimes you will fail. But even in failure, you will discover a strength you didn't know you had. And that strength will carry you further than comfort ever could. Courage transforms failure into lessons, rejection into redirection, and fear into fuel. I want you to imagine your future self 5 years from now. Imagine standing on the edge of your dreams, looking back at this moment. Will you be proud that you stepped out, or will you regret that you stayed safe? The choice you make today shapes that future. One decision, one step, one act of courage, that's all it takes to change the story of your life. So step outside, step out of the circle, step into the unknown. Fear will follow you, but so will hope, and hope is stronger. The world outside is bigger, brighter, and waiting for you. Don't let fear write your story. Pick up the pen with courage and write the life you deserve. Chapter 5. Building the Life You Deserve. There comes a point in life when you must stop only dreaming about the life you want and start building it piece by piece, choice by choice, day by day. The truth is, you deserve more than survival. You deserve more than routine. You deserve more than watching others live boldly while you stand on the sidelines. You deserve a life that excites you in the morning and satisfies you at night. A life filled with purpose, growth, freedom, and contribution. But such a life does not appear by accident. It must be built with intention. It must be claimed with courage. It must be created by someone who refuses to settle. And that someone is you. The first step to building the life you deserve is to decide that you actually deserve it. Many people secretly believe they are unworthy of happiness or success. They carry guilt from the past, shame from failures, or lies from others who told them they were not enough. If you carry that belief, no amount of effort will matter, because deep down you will sabotage your progress. So hear this clearly. Your worth is not up for debate. You do not earn it by success, nor do you lose it by failure. You are worthy simply because you exist. You are enough as you are, and from that place of worthiness, you can create everything you desire. Once you embrace this truth, the second step is vision. You cannot build a house without a blueprint, and you cannot build a life without a vision. Vision is the picture of your best future. It is the story of who you want to become, the kind of relationships you want to have, the work you want to do, the freedom you want to experience, and the impact you want to make. Without vision, life drifts. With vision, life has direction. Close your eyes and ask yourself, if nothing could stop me, what would my life look like 5 years from now? Where would I live? Who would I be with? What work would I be doing? How would I feel each morning? These answers are not fantasies, they are blueprints. They are the seeds of the life you deserve. But vision alone is not enough. A dream without action is just a wish, and wishes do not build futures. Action is the brick and mortar of your new life. Action requires discipline. It demands sacrifice. It forces you to trade short-term comfort for long-term fulfillment. Too many people wait until they feel ready, but readiness is a myth. Builders don't wait for perfect weather to start construction. They begin with what they have, where they are, and they adjust along the way. Likewise, you must act now. Start small if you must, but start. Write the first chapter. Make the first call. Save the first dollar. Take the first step. The life you deserve is waiting, but it will only arrive when you begin moving toward it. Another key to building your best life is resilience. The path will not be smooth. You will face setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected storms. But these are not signs to quit. They are signs to grow stronger. Every challenge is a teacher. Every failure carries a lesson. Every delay hides a gift. Resilience is not just surviving the storm. It is learning to dance in the rain. When you fall, rise again. When you are rejected, try again. When doors close, knock on others. Life respects persistence. The walls of limitation may look strong, but they always crumble under consistent effort. And then comes contribution. A life built only for yourself will eventually feel empty. The deepest joy comes not from what you take, but from what you give. When you use your gifts to help others, you multiply your own sense of meaning. The life you deserve is not only about success, it is about significance. It is about knowing that your presence on this earth made a difference. You do not need millions of dollars or global fame to make impact. Sometimes a kind word, a helping hand, or a shared vision can change someone's entire world. As you build your life, remember to lift others along the way. Of course, building a great life also requires patience. Nothing worthwhile is built overnight. Seeds take time to grow into trees, foundations take time to settle, and dreams take time to mature. In a world obsessed with instant results, patience feels old-fashioned, but it remains the secret ingredient of lasting success. Do not confuse delay with denial. The fact that it has taken time does not mean it will not happen. Trust the process, keep moving, and remember that every small step forward is still progress. Equally important is gratitude. Gratitude keeps you grounded as you rise. It reminds you of how far you've come, even if you're not yet where you want to be. Gratitude turns the life you already have into a foundation for the life you are building. When you appreciate what is in your hands, you create space for more to come. Gratitude is not passive, it is powerful. It trains your mind to focus on abundance instead of lack, on opportunity instead of limitation, on progress instead of problems. Let's also speak about courage one last time, because without it, all the other steps collapse. Building the life you deserve will demand risks. You will have to make choices others don't understand. You will have to walk roads that feel lonely at times. You will have to say no to distractions and yes to responsibilities. But courage is the price of freedom, and every risk you take in the direction of your vision brings you closer to the life you want. Fear will always whisper, but courage will always build. Picture this. Years from now, you're sitting in a place that once existed only in your imagination. Maybe it's your dream home. Maybe it's a company you built. Maybe it's a life of travel. Maybe it's a family filled with love. And maybe it's simply peace inside your own heart. Whatever it is, you are there. And as you look back, you realize it was never one giant leap that brought you here. It was hundreds of small choices, small acts of courage, small sacrifices, small steps. Together, they built a masterpiece. And you smile because you know you built it, brick by brick, day by day, with your own hands, heart, and vision. That is the life you deserve. Not a life of excuses, but a life of effort. Not a life of limits, but a life of freedom. Not a life handed to you by chance, but a life created by design. And now, it is in your hands. You can remain where you are, inside the circle of fear and comfort, or you can step outside and build. The tools are already within you. The question is not whether you can, the question is whether you will. So let this be your moment. Let this be the day you choose differently. Let this be the chapter where your story turns. Break free from the invisible circle. Break the chains of limitation. Redefine your circle. Step outside with courage and begin to build, without hesitation, the life you were always meant to live. Because the truth is undeniable. You were not born to remain stuck. You were born to rise. You were born to create. You were born to build a life you truly deserve. Conclusion. Every chapter you've read was never just words on a page. It was a mirror, a challenge, and a reminder of the power already inside you. The circle you once thought was permanent is nothing more than a shadow of fear and habit. And shadows disappear the moment you bring in light. You've discovered that your circle does not define you. You define it. You've seen that your past patterns don't have to become your future reality. Most importantly, you've learned that no one else is coming to break your circle for you. It is your choice, your courage, your action that will rewrite your story. So pause for a moment. Imagine the life you've always wanted, the freedom, the growth, the impact. That life is not a fantasy. It is waiting just outside the circle. Now the time has come to step forward. Don't let this book be just another read that gathers dust in your memory. Let it be the turning point, the moment you chose to act. Catch your circle. Break free. Step into the life you deserve. The world is waiting for the best version of you. The question is no longer can you? The real question is, will you?